Well, it's that time again. Let's sing it together. It's always a good day at Judson. Hey everybody, it's so good to be together virtually in this video. And Kirk and I were talking, and we thought, I haven't done one of these videos in a few weeks, and so we thought this would be fun for me just to take care of this week's post for the whole music team, and just this video will be our message to you. So it's good to just share in this way sometimes. So thanks for being here and giving a few minutes. It won't be long. You know, it's interesting. In the past couple weeks, I've had this thought kind of come up a little more and more throughout the last couple weeks, and it's the thought of faith. It's the idea of faith, and you know, like, what do we have our faith in, and how do we see that faith? And like, I have faith that this fall and coming up to Thanksgiving and Christmas season at Judson is going to be great. I have faith that we're going to be able to do some new things. We're going to do some old things. We're gonna be able to do a work that God's put before us as a music team, as a worship team. We're going to be able to encourage our church, encourage our people through song. I look forward to that, and I have faith that that's going to happen. And it's interesting. The question that's come to my mind is, how do you know someone has faith? So that question, how do we know? And it's been interesting because the idea of faith has just come to my mind more and more because of a song lyric, or maybe something I would see, maybe a video or something. And I've had this question, how do we know someone has faith? And just faith in general. It would make me think about faith in general, and then that would take me to faith in God, my faith in God. One of the videos that I saw was a video of David Blaine. David Blaine is a pretty famous street magician. That's kind of how he got his fame. And he's one of the best close-up card magicians that I've ever seen. I love magic and card magic especially. And so I used to get into his videos and things. And in the past few years, he's done more. It's been less magic and more theatrical stunts, like Evel Knievel type style stuff that doesn't have as much to do with magic, but it has to do with just feats of strength or feats of will and that kind of thing. The latest thing he did just a week or two ago, I can't remember how long it was, he did this stunt where essentially, and it's more complicated than this, but essentially he walked up and grabbed a bunch of balloons, enough balloons that could pick him up, and he went into the air, into the sky, and he went thousands of feet. I mean, I think he went 8,000 feet up. And then during that journey, after he got past 4,000 feet or so, he attached a parachute that was hanging on the balloons as well. So he went up with no parachutes, attached the parachute, and then disconnected himself from those balloons and parachuted down to the earth and landed safely. So I don't mean to give spoiler alert, he landed safely. But you can see that video, and I have a link to the promo video in the post here if you want to see the promotional video they put out before, and then you can even go and watch the full 2-hour journey where he gives all this, he shows you everything that happened to get to that point. But the point is, as crazy as it seems, David Blaine had to have faith to do what he did. As crazy, I mean, obviously it had to have faith. But then that turns me to look at some of the people that we see in the Bible, like some of the usual suspects in the Bible. If we look at, and let me get my Bible out here. If we look at in Hebrews, obviously Hebrews 11 is the Hall of Fame of faith, right? So let me just read through some of these. We know them, we love them, we've read all these, but just bear with me. It says, by faith Noah, after he was warned about what was not yet seen and motivated by godly fear, he built an ark. By faith, Abraham, he obeyed. By faith, he obeyed God in his instruction. He went out even though he did not know where he was even going. By faith, Moses, after he was born, was hidden by his parents for 3 months because they saw that the child was beautiful, and they didn't fear the king's edict because they had faith in God. By faith, Moses refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, and he chose to suffer with the people of God rather than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. For he considered reproach for the sake of Christ to be greater wealth than the treasures of Egypt, By faith, he left Egypt behind, not being afraid of the king's anger. By faith. By faith, Rahab, the prostitute, welcomed the spies in peace and didn't perish with those who disobeyed. And then you have the honorable mentions, because the writer is saying there's no time to go through and tell you everybody. Okay, so we read about, these giants of faith in the Bible. But it brings me back to the question, how do we know someone has faith? And the answer, or one of the answers, and one of the big answers, is we see them acting on their faith. And that's what we see in Scripture. Actions are the key to faith. Now, David Blaine had faith, as I mentioned before, but it wasn't blind faith, although to us it seems like crazy faith, or he's just crazy. But it wasn't blind faith. If you go and watch, if you watch that promo, you'll hear some of the things that he did, the extensive things that he did. He did a lot of work and testing and got a team together that had proven themselves to be experts in the field. So he didn't leave anything to chance. He saw and did a lot to get to the point of acting on his faith. So his faith was in a lot of things that he had seen. He had a lot of proven history that strengthened his faith. He had faith in the team. He had faith in his ability to do what he set out to do. But in the end, his faith was on display that day when he actually did the stunt. If he had stopped short of grabbing those balloons, we would have seen his lack of faith. Now, sometimes we have faith in something and it doesn't really work out that great. Like this girl's faith in the guy to pull off this bike mount while in motion. I can almost guarantee you that she didn't try that a second time. And I don't blame her, for sure. But God has shown us a lot. So we don't have blind faith. He's revealed himself to us, and I think you would agree, he's revealed himself to us in so many ways. He's shown us his power. He's proven himself to us time and time again. And our faith isn't blind. It's in God, who we trust, who we know loves us, who we know will never leave us, who has also spoken into our lives with the command to go, to do, to live out our faith, to live out loud. So that's the command. The question has been turned around on me. How do I know I have faith? And like the men and women in the Hebrews passage, would someone be able to look at me, and I'd ask you to ask yourself the same question, look at you. Would they be able to look at me and talk about my faith by what they see? So that's how they know. Would they be able to look at my day to day and talk about my faith like we talk about the faith of those in Hebrews 11, knowing they have faith because of the things that we've seen them do, the things that we've read about them doing. This reminds me of an old story that we've all heard, but it's the story of the tightrope walker who gets a tightrope and sets it up across Niagara Falls, takes a wheelbarrow, and he walks across it several times with a wheelbarrow. And people are watching in amazement. And he asks everybody, do you think I can fill this wheelbarrow up full of concrete and still be able to get across? And they're like, yeah, I think so, because you seem so comfortable. You're doing it. You're doing it. So he puts the concrete in there, it's heavy, and he's going across, and he does it 2 or 3 more times. And he says, do you think I could put a human being in this wheelbarrow and go across? And they're like, well, yeah, because you just took more weight than a person. No problem at all. And he said, all right, who's going to get in? And they all start tying their shoes. You going to eat that? That kind of stuff. Do they really have faith that he can do it? Maybe not, because they have faith that something bad could happen, but they don't have faith that it's going to work out great if they get in the wheelbarrow. So that just shows it's a simple story, and sometimes we have a little faith. Jesus talks about the faith of a mustard seed. Small faith can still make the mountains move. Faith in him, faith in God. So, I admit we have, our faith can be big sometimes. Sometimes our faith is small, but the smallest of faith will have an action that will build our faith. And God will never be proven wrong. So don't be afraid today to exercise your faith as God puts opportunity in front of you. Let's let people see our faith. And let me just read real quickly in James. Again, these are not new scriptures at all, but this is just my encouragement for you today. So James 2, let's talk about faith. But someone will say, you have faith and I have works. Show me your faith without works, and I will show you faith by my works. And we'll skip ahead to verse 20. Senseless person, are you willing to learn that faith without works is useless? Wasn't Abraham our father justified by works in offering Isaac his son on the altar? You see that faith was active together with his works, and by works faith was made complete. That's the key. By our works, our faith is made complete. It's incomplete without action, without doing something about it. And I think we could admit that when we look around us. It's easy to see that truth. It's harder when it is us that are being asked to get into the barrel. Suddenly, we see exactly where our faith is. So be aware today of the steps that you're taking to act out your faith. Keep your antenna up. Keep prayerfully taking steps today. And as I always say, keep music going in your life. Keep worshiping. All of us need to keep singing our song of praise, singing our song of worship. Even the instrumentalists and the players, we are commanded to sing. Keep playing, keep singing. Even if it's by yourself, you're not by yourself. You are worshiping the uncreated Creator. So keep that alive, and then the people around you will see your worship and see your praise, see your act of faith. And Psalm 40 says they will believe in God because of it. So we trust you, Lord, for that. And now let's end how we start. Let's sing it together. It's always a good day at Judson.